Welcome back for General Science Mod 15 Part 2. I'm glad to see you were so excited about my last video you came back for more. We're going to continue on where we were before. We talked about the lymph system last time. We're going to take just a real quick detour into tears. Tears form in your eyes when you're sad or when you hurt yourself. Tears come from glands called lacrimal glands. They produce tears. They travel down the tear duct to your eye. Reasons we produce tears is it contains some infection-fighting chemicals. Your eyes are interesting because they are not covered by skin. They're an organ that's on the outside, and so they are more apt to be attacked by bacteria or other things. So infection-fighting chemicals in your tears are always going, not just when you cry, you're always producing a little bit of tears. Moisten your eye. Part of the reason is to help with keep your eye from drying out, but the main thing is that infection-fighting chemicals, because there is no skin there, nothing to protect it, it needs that to keep your eyes from getting infections or infections traveling into your body through your eyes. So you can read a little bit more about that. So let's move on to our next system then. Our next system is the urinary system. Now, most people think that the urinary system is just to remove liquid waste from your body. That's kind of a role. But its true role, the urinary system, is to control chemical and fluid levels in your blood. Your blood goes everywhere in your body. There are important things going on. You need to carry out a certain water level. You need to have water in your blood, the proper amount. Too much, you dilute, you cause some problems. You can actually die from too much water, but that's an unusual occurrence. pH. Anyone hear of pH before? How acidic or basic something is? Your body needs that blood to be a very specific pH range, a very small range. Your kidneys are one of the main contributors for keeping it within that range. And then other chemicals in your blood. It'll get rid of excess chemicals. Diabetes is a good example. If you have diabetes, your cells won't absorb the sugar as much. It builds up in your system. Sugar can be actually very damaging. So extra sugar, your kidneys say, oh, we got too much sugar in there. Extra sugar can be dumped through that. Your kidneys will do that, and that's one way they can tell if you got diabetes is sugars in your urine. So kidneys control that. Go ahead, get your books out, turn to page 378. In there is a picture of a kidney. Your kidney is a major portion of, Your kidney is a major portion of your urinary system. The kidneys are actually very complex. Inside your kidneys are little things called nephrons. There are, I believe, it says about 1 million nephrons in a kidney. About 1 million. That's a lot of nephrons. What those nephrons are is they're basically little loops in your system. What happens is your kidney, kind of interesting, it takes the extra stuff out. It hooks up to a blood vessel. It leaves the red blood cells, the big stuff, white blood cells, they're in there. But the rest dumps most of the rest of the fluid into the nephron. And then what it does is it chooses what to put back. So what's going to go back? So much water, so much carbohydrates to keep you going, calcium, sodium ions, things like that, which are very important, dumped back in. Into your blood so that it can control the proper levels. It also has a little bit to do with some blood pressure as well. The rest of it is then don't. If you look at your picture, on that you've got the renal artery coming in, a major artery. In fact, what's it say? About every 25 minutes, all your blood flows through one of your two kidneys to be cleaned. So the renal artery is a major artery. It goes into your kidney. It meets at the nephrons. The capillaries wrap around the nephrons, and that's where the exchanges happen. So that interstitial fluid going in there, instead of going into the lymphatic system becoming lymph, it ends up in the nephron, and what's left off of the nephron becomes urine. So heads in there, so it runs through your nephron, it pulls out what it needs, it dumps the rest back in, then it goes back into the vessel where it is now the renal vein leaving the body, or leaving the kidney. What's not used is dropped into the renal pelvis, kind of a large container that runs down the ureters and into the bladder, later to be expelled via the urethra. So not too exciting. If you ever take anatomy and physiology, you'll learn a lot about the nephron, and it's kind of some cool chemistry goes on in there. But main thing to remember for the urinary system and the kidneys is it controls your chemical and fluid levels in the blood. So, and because you're a biochemical being, you need blood for that biochemistry, or water for that biochemistry is very important. Okay. Let's go on then to the endocrine system. Endocrine system. Endocrine system is a bunch of glands. But these glands control different things. I'll go ahead and turn to page 382 in your book. On page 382, you will see a few endocrine glands listed there. Now, these glands generally produce, among other things, they produce something called hormones. I mentioned that really quick in the earlier video. Hormones are chemical messengers. Now, you think your body receives all its information through nerves, right? The brain sends information down and sends out nerves. Well, hormones are chemical messengers. They travel via your bloodstream and cause things to happen in your body. So not just nervous things, but these hormones or chemical messengers do this. If we start at the top there, the first one we see is the hypothalamus. It's a small gland at the base of the brain. Hypothalamus is considered the main regulator of the endocrine system. So it regulates thirst. It regulates hunger. So if you're thirsty or hungry, it's your hypothalamus causing that. It also regulates body temperature. If your hypothalamus is not functioning correctly, oftentimes you can run an odd body temperature, either high or low. So it also helps in something called fight or flight. Fight or flight means when you're scared, generally you'll do one of two things. You'll fight, go ah, or you'll flight, you'll run away, you'll ah. What it does in the fight or flight is it gets ready for that, so it'll crank up your metabolism a bit, get things rolling. It'll help increase your heart rate, speed up your heart rate, things like that to get you ready for fight or flight. Hypothalamus also controls the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Now, what's kind of interesting is that they call the pituitary gland the master gland, although actually it's kind of the hypothalamus. But pituitary gland releases chemicals that control many of the other glands that you see in this picture: the parathyroid, the thymus, the pancreas, the adrenal glands. So the pituitary gland's kind of the master. It produces 10 separate hormones. That's why they call it the master gland. 10 separate hormones. And each hormone has a specific job to do, generally activating other glands. Makes human growth hormone, used in growing. Endorphin, which is a pain reliever. makes antidiuretic, which a diuretic is something that causes your body to dump water, thus diarrhea. Antidiuretic controls the amount of water released by the nephrons in the kidneys. So this pituitary gland controls the kidneys as well. Okay, work our way down. Parathyroid, they don't really talk, but yeah, the thyroid gland itself, yeah, the parathyroid are actually small little spots on the thyroid. Let's talk about the thyroid gland first. Thyroid gland speeds up the rate of combustion, basically, or metabolism. Controls your metabolism of macronutrients. So it controls metabolism, how fast you burn stuff, how slow you burn stuff. People that have problems with their thyroid are considered hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. Too many hormones is hyperthyroidism. Results in a high metabolism, high heart rate, generally tend to be skinny. Hypothyroidism causes more sluggishness, tends to have you add weight. You can become more lethargic, tired, overweight. So, parathyroid are little glands on the thyroid. They regulate calcium. Now, calcium isn't just important in your bones, it's also important for nerves. Your nerves use calcium to send nerve impulses and help your muscles work properly. So, next one down the list is your adrenal glands. You've probably heard of the adrenal glands before, and adrenaline. Adrenaline will speed up your heart rate, metabolism, things like that. Also releases cortisol, which is also involved in fight and flight, both of those. Let's see, next one on there, the last one is the pancreas. Pancreas you might have heard before when we did the digestive system. The pancreas released sodium bicarbonate to neutralize this hydrochloric acid coming out of your stomach. Pancreas also produces insulin. Insulin controls how these cells take in sugars to burn. So, pancreas, there's a part of the pancreas with the islets, I forget the name, that controls the production of insulin. So, okay, so again, if you have any questions, hopefully this wasn't too fast and furious for you. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll get to them as quick as possible. Look for the next video next week.